Hello and welcome. This is Namir, and this is the eighth and final talk on the series of mental yoga, how we can use the mind to live a healthy and happy life based on truth. This this talk is going to be a little bit more informal. Uh, I, we've looked at the whole. We've taken a look backstage and seen how this whole show called Life works. I hope in a way which is accessible to many people, and I hope that you derive benefit from it. Now, just as most of us don't go around uh, worrying that we're going to fall off the earth because it's round and it's spinning, um, we have it in the background of our minds as a truth, but we trust also the senses that tell us that the world is stable and there's no danger from falling off. In the same way, these truths that are revealed here, they're not revealed, just analyzed and seen, they're in the open, uh, need to be digested, they need to be tested. So the point of these videos is to stimulate your own inquiry to know, what on earth is going on, really, from the point of view of that anybody can analyze. And when you become certain of a thing as a truth, then obviously it has a lot more power rather than accepting it based on faith. So there's no faith involved, there is just application to arrive at a certain state, just like people do, other kinds of yoga or training or learning a musical instrument or learning mathematics or learning, this is a kind of philosophy, but empirical philosophy. Leading to the truth that yoga has been showing us for thousands of years. So it's a true philosophy to a true state, and that is that the human being is in essence a spiritual entity that knows there is, as it were, in the world but not of the world, and that we create the world through our imagination, and we are ever free, ever perfect, outside of time and space. And this is just how it is. And if you hold that, in the background of if you remind yourself every day and you try and be there, in other words, to withdraw from the show every day, then it is, as it were, you realize that you've always had one foot in paradise and one foot in the what we call the ocean of reality, or one foot in being and one foot in the ocean of becoming. Being and becoming are one foot in eternal peace and one foot in constant change. This is the dual nature of the human being. Um, and that the ocean is you. This world is you in the same way that you dream it. So it's one thing to know this intellectually or philosophically. But unless one also does a practice of calming your nerves and your emotions, and fundamentally of clearing the mind, because if we get to this kind of realization, to this truth, it's usually been a long time living in the world, and that creates a lot of what yoga is called samskaras, which are conditionings, which interfere with what we understand. So the show has been so strong, even though we know it's an illusion, we are hooked. We are addicted to it. So we have to pull ourselves off constantly. And there are two main techniques that we should do, or that I do, and that I can vouch for in my case as are useful. The first one is a daily practice, which involves concentrating the mind on one thing, so meditation. Now, whether that is something like the 7-minute yoga, which you can see also on Plexus and other videos, or another daily practice, it is important that in your daily practice, the mind is steady and focused on one thing. Now, if you're moving your body in asana, then it's really quite difficult because that body is changing. So you choose your breath, and your breath has to be even. So the asana practice should be breath centered and evenly flowing, and the ability to concentrate on your breath without distraction is fundamental. This is because we are trying to clarify, not to get lost in the dream, to get to the essence, to the self, to the seer. So we're trying to simplify mind. We're trying to reduce down all the different things that are going on in our mind. Fundamental for yoga, for classical yoga, for union of your earthly self and your spiritual self. So it could also be meditation, and in other traditions that do not use the body so much, meditation is fundamental. Or anything that, as it were, stills the mind, brings the mind to peace. That is so important. Yogic meditation. In classical yoga, meditation is one of the things you do. The purpose of the asana, of the body, is to calm the body, bring it to peace. The purpose of the pranayama is to calm the energies inside the body, to bring them to peace so that they don't disturb the mind. And the purpose of meditation, concentration, starting with concentration, dharana, is to bring the mind to peace so that there is no show going on in front of the seer, the observer, the witness, the self. And at that point, the only thing present in the room is the seer. And the mind, in its neutral, empty state, becomes aware of the seer or of the light illuminating upon it. Then that becomes something you experience in your own way. It's not like the experience of, it's not even, during meditation, you can have experience of light. If it's experience of something, then it's not that truth. You have an experience of something that is always there and has no qualities, doesn't create excitement in the mind, doesn't create experience. It's the experience of no experience, of just pure being, which is knowing. So that comes with practice, because if you practice every day, then slowly it's like cleaning or polishing, a pan that has never been cleaned. At the beginning, you can't see anything. It's just hard work, but slowly the rubbish gets thrown out, and the pan begins to shine, and then it shines like a mirror, and you see yourself somehow, not your face, obviously, your true self. So that's called polishing the heart, or whatever words are used to explain that process where a truth becomes evident and there's no doubting it. It can come as a blast, but generally it just sort of occurs. And if it doesn't, then you can still, by reminding yourself constantly, as often as you can, of who you are, it percolates into your thoughts, into your actions, your behavior in the world. So the second thing is remembrance, which is something quite different to memory. Remembrance is to remember your eternal nature, being. Remember yourself as being, consciousness, bliss, sat, chit, ananda, as it's called, as often as you can. Being present. So you remember to be present. You remember the eternal now, which is the truth. And that's where whatever you can train yourself, it's training to be present to the truth until you are more or less constantly present. So it's like the spectacle is there, but you are aware of yourself enjoying the show. And you are aware of yourself enjoying the good and the bad of the show. And in presence is like you're no more fear, because you understand how this whole amazing thing is occurring. You remember. So it's the antidote to ignorance. Presence is knowledge, is knowing, is being, and not getting lost in what is called nescience, not knowing, unconsciousness. So you have to remember to be conscious, and that is being real. So reality is consciousness, is you, and you need to practice remembrance. And that is something only you can do. And it's a very personal affair. And remember that you are the source of everything that what you call out there that you are looking for. Whether it's a spiritual teacher or happiness or a long life, it's all in you. It all occurs in you already. You are already that. As the saying goes, you are that what you are looking for. And in this sense that nearly everyone is looking for freedom and safety. There's a story. This is what we all are. We already are totally free, totally safe. It's just we think we are what we are not, or only part of it. And just to end, there's a well-known story used in the Sufi tradition, if I can borrow across traditions, because the truth is one. Mullah Nasruddin lost his keys. And a man came along, found him looking for the keys in the street, underneath the lamppost. And he said, Mullah, what's going on? He said, I lost my keys, so I'm looking for them. Okay, let me help you. And they looked and looked and looked and couldn't find them. Well, Mullah, where did you actually lose your keys? So I lost them on the front door there, somewhere near in the darkness of the garden. Okay, so why are you looking here, underneath in the street? He says, well, here under the street light, there's more light. So that's it. Don't look for yourself in the light, that which is, you are the light. And you only find that by, as it were, retreating into the lightless world, not what you call light. And the last thing I would add, traditionally in yoga, after the discipline of purification of mind and body and breath, and the analysis of life, using your mind. The third one is devotion. And of course, you devote yourself to that which is beyond, to the dreamer. It's sometimes called non-acceptance or non-attachment. But traditionally, it's putting everything at the feet of the divine, offering it all to the divine. Because it is that practice of non-attachment and giving it all up, to a truth which you can't see or feel or hear, that tunes you in to the dreamer, the one who is creating all of this, of which we are a part. You tune in to the source reality through devotion. It's not something I used a lot in my own way, but I see the benefit of it, and I use it now to remind me, to engage in a conversation with the source reality, with the dreamer. I am being dreamt. I engage in a conversation. I remind myself through a relationship to the true, the one true existence, which is both everything and beyond everything, and of which I am a part. So that basically, finishes what I've got to say about yoga, using the mind, the yoga of the mind, using the mind in an active way to live a life of truth, contentment, authenticity, and being a human being. As I've seen it, as I've discovered it, and I hope it may be of use to anybody else who is looking for peace, freedom, safety, and happiness. Thank you. This is Namir. Thank you very much.